Good morning, good evening, good night. No matter where you on this planet, I'm sending you love and light. Check me out. When God is taking somebody's character and changing them, I realize it's like hitting a growth spurt back in elementary and middle school where you outgrow your clothes, but you're poor, so you can't really afford new clothes, so you got to sag your pants so they don't look like capris or whatever. A lot of the time, that's what God is putting us through. A lot of the times you hit a spiritual growth spurt, that growth spurt that intellectually you haven't conceived yet. You haven't birthed it into your psyche. So your spirit might be strong. God might be talking to you, but your mind and your body is still weak. So as you go through this growth spurt, you're wondering why your life is uncomfortable, why your relationships are uncomfortable, why you're unhappy, why you're sad, depressed. It's because you're growing internally faster than your external world is growing. The worst part is you don't even see that you need to change clothes. You don't even see that you need to let go of pieces of yourself. That way you can be more comfortable in yourself, metaphorically speaking. You know, a lot of the times, and this is something that I peep too, when it comes to the prophets of God, right? All of them, and anybody who ever put in work for God, there's a certain level of accountability, bro, that must be had in order to act. In order to invoke the will to act, you must have a certain level of accountability. When you think about Jonah not wanting to deliver the message, he went through more hell from not being accountable. Not just for himself of the message, for the people who the message was for. I recognize this duality throughout the Bible with a lot of the characters. Actually, mainly, basically all of them. There's accountability there, bro. So if you want to exchange pieces of yourself for who you are to be, you got to be able to, and if you really want to be comfortable, I realize, in your own life, in your own self, in your own clothes, literally and metaphorically, you got to be accountable. There's a certain accountability of working for God that comes, you got to be accountable to yourself and others. That's Jesus, Moses, all of them, Noah, Jonah, all of them. They were accountable for their own actions. God held them accountable. They saw the accountability. Some of them tried to run. They got their head cracked more until they opened up to the revelation. Once they was able to see the light, they invoked the will to act in accordance to God. All of it was in accordance to God. God already knew what was going to happen. God just let you do what you do. He's going to teach you more lessons until you learn to wake up. And then you finally obtain the final lesson at that stage of your life. But accountability is very profitable to man. And by man, I mean women and men. It's very profitable. How do you profit? You don't have to go through certain cycles and synchronicities, dog. Certain universal signs you ain't got to repeat. Certain trials and tribulations you don't have to go through if you listen, if you're willing to deal with accountability for your actions, and sometimes, biblically speaking, even other people's. Has nothing to do with you. You don't even agree with it, but you work for God and you are not larger than the mission, bro. And when you start to conceive and birth this type of perspective, you see what happens to people like Jonah. You see what happens to people that run from God. You can't. You're only going to get your head cracked. Be accountable. And if you don't want to be accountable, God might not agree with me saying this, but don't mess with God, because God is accountability. If you do not want to be somebody who's accountable, you don't even want to be accountable for a little dog, a little poodle. If I dropped off a kitten right now, y'all couldn't take care of it. Think about it. If you don't want no type of accountability in your life, you can't mess with God. You have to be a selfish person. Basically, you got to be the devil. You've chosen to be evil. That's the reality. And I'm okay with knowing that. I just need to know that's who you are. And God does too. That's the whole point of this test of life, bro. We need to figure out who's who. Be real with yourself. Because the minute you start being real with yourself, it's the minute you're going to start behaving differently. And whether you're good or bad, I believe you'll see more good things in your life. Even if you're a bad person, you'll see more good in your life being honest with yourself, being accountable, bro. I'm giving, the spirit strong in this one, yo. I want y'all to hit the like, comment, and subscribe. Give me your perspective. But if you're thinking in terms of powerful figures in the Bible, in most religious texts of any religion, they all had some things in common. One of them was accountability, bro. To be accountable, bro. To be dependable, bro. You got to be able to depend on yourself in order for God to be able to depend on. If God knows you can't depend on yourself to do some shit, why would God come to you to do something? What? I need a warrior that's strong. Y'all see what I'm saying? They all have this in common. They all have this in common. Accountability. And the accountability came with discomfort. And the accountability came with exchanging old rags for new ones. Old definition for a new perspective, for a new definition. How do you define these people now? How do you define yourself now? Sometimes we outgrow our old ways. Sometimes we outgrow our old relationships. We hit that spiritual growth spurt, but we're mentally entertaining the same demons while spiritually worshiping God. And you're wondering why you're coming into all this conflict. God got this one heavy on my soul. I hope somebody receive this one. Think about what I'm telling you. Think about what we telling you. As above, so below. As within, so without, bro. I'm doing what heaven want me to do right now. I hope you listening. Be accountable. I'm going to wrap this up with my mantra. Good morning, good evening, good night. No matter where you on this planet, I'm sending you love and light. I'm gone.